Hello and welcome to another episode of Amon Sheeran's Pirate Radio. Today we have illustrious guest, Billy Ulrich. Billy, thank you very much for doing this today.
Amon, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
All right. So where we always start off with all of our running guests is what made you first want to start running competitively back in the day?
I think I had a pretty probably similar introduction to running as most runners do. You grow up and you're kind of fast. You're quick, you know. You get out to like the playground and whatnot. You're like, oh, let's do a race. You look forward to like the running portions of things at gym, and I feel like I played every single sport when I was younger except for track. I think my dad just had no really did not want to go to any super long track meets on the weekends. That was like not on his to-do list. He was like, I'll do other things. I'm not going to a track meet. So I played like basketball, baseball, soccer, like flag football, anything with any ball sport related. I pretty much played except for track, but I was really good. I was fast. That was like kind of why I was good at sports. And then I guess I got really into competitive running. I like to say really the competitive side my junior year of high school. I mean, I kind of quit all my other sports in high school except for soccer, and just kind of like soccer was my thing. And so my freshman year I played soccer indoors, didn't do anything outdoors. I joined the track team, just kind of like hey, let's do this, like could be kind of cool. And I was still playing club soccer. Like I would like go to track practice, like finish track, then like get shipped out to soccer practice for my club team, like do that, and then try to study and do homework after that, which was I don't know how I did that I don't know, how old are you when you were a freshman in high school? Are you like 14
13,
years old?
14? Yeah.
Like I can't imagine 13 or 14-year-old Bill trying to do that, but I guess it worked out somehow. But then that whole summer again was just like focusing on getting ready for soccer tryouts that fall for Chaminade, which were like pretty intense, pretty rigorous. Like a lot of kids would come out and try out, and there were some pretty steep cuts. I don't think the make percentage was that high, but I was fortunate enough to be a left-footed player, so I could I had that going for me. So I again tried out for sophomore year soccer, made it, and then I played sophomore soccer, it was kind of whatever, and then I joined indoor track that year, my sophomore year, and I got to kind of know the guys a little bit better, and I had a lot of fun with them indoors, had a lot of fun with them outdoors, and I think it was enough of a reason for me to kind of drop soccer. I was kind of done with soccer at that point, and was like, all right, like I found a good group of guys that I enjoy hanging out with. It's more enjoyable than soccer ever was. So that summer going into my junior year, I probably didn't train, but I showed up for cross country in the fall, having no idea what I had just subjected myself to. And I ran my first cross country season, which was abysmal. I'm horrendous at cross country. And if anyone knows me, I'm the biggest advocate of just like anti cross country. I'm not a cross guy. But it was an experience to say the least. And then had a really good indoor season there, and the kind of like the rest is history. I caught the bug after that.
There you go. So what made you flip that switch? Was it more the guys or more your training that made you switch from soccer and really start to take running seriously?
Oh, it's definitely the people. I'm a people person. I like being around people that I enjoy being around, that are cool and fun. And so, I mean, not to like dish on the soccer guys, but I just had a lot more fun with the track guys. I got along better. I had like whole like quality of life improvements as well, just like having a better friend group. So yeah, I think it was definitely the guys, and it's funny because one of the initial reasons that got me into the sport being the people on my high school track team is one of the reasons why I continue to do the sport to this day is the people. I continue to meet new, cool, interesting people day in, day out, just showing up at trailheads or signing up for clubs or at races, warming up, cooling down at BU. You just run into so many cool people, you make cool friends, cool connections. And yeah, I think it's definitely one of the reasons why I continue to lace them up and get out the door every day, amongst other things. But that's definitely a factor for sure.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what keeps people coming back is the people and the clubs and the groups and how it evolves over the years. But getting back to your high school days, do you remember having a breakout race in indoor or outdoor?
Yeah. So I would like to say my breakout race. I was more of a short distance guy,
Mhm.
a mid distance guy in high school, as pretty much everyone was at Chaminade. I don't think we ran like any mileage whatsoever. I'm talking like maybe 30 miles a week tops.
A lot of
Like
speed work.
I think we were on the track every day.
Okay.
So during cross country, we'd kind of get bussed around to different like parks in Nassau and Suffolk County.
Mhm.
And then the second track hit, that stopped. We stopped running in parks and whatnot. And if you know Mineola, or if you're familiar with just
Yeah, I
like
know the area.
general Nassau
Mhm.
County, Long Island, there's really not many places to run. Especially like you're on Jericho Turnpike, and there's just like it's a whole mess. So most of our practices were held at our track. So you'd show up, you'd go out, you jog maybe a mile warm up. So at Chaminade we had a 5 lap mile track. It was like 320 meters, because that's all we could fit inside of like a city block in Mineola. And so you'd maybe go run 5 laps for a warm up, do drills, do like all out like sprint speed work, and then maybe do another like 4 or 5 lap cool down, and you'd call it a day and come back
There
and
you
do it
go.
the next time. But I mean, it was definitely, I mean, I think I have my leg speed today to thank for that training, but I definitely didn't gain a lot of strength from it. But that kind of all goes to the point of, oh, so my breakout races really always happened whenever we were peaking for like championship season, because like I had no base to really rely on strength wise like early on. So if I wasn't tapering or wasn't like cutting back on like the speed work that we were doing, my legs were always fried. So I'd race horrendously during the season, like regular season.
Mhm.
And then I'd get to championship season, we'd cut back on the workouts and intensity, and then my legs would all of a sudden feel like incredible, and I'd pop something off. So I think my first time that really happened was my junior year indoors. We had a crazy 4x8 team. I think we had 2 teams. We kind of split them up. We had 2 teams go sub 8 in the 4x8 in
Oh
high
wow,
school, which is like pretty impressive.
that's quick.
Uh, and then so for indoor nationals that year, obviously we didn't split the teams up to go sub 8, but we had one team go, and they won indoor nationals. I was not on that team. I was like I think I was a 157 guy at the time my junior year, and I was an alternate for I was on our B team. And I think I had my breakout race on the B team relay, where I was like, oh snap, like maybe I could kind of do this in college, because like that's what everyone's kind of thinking about
Yeah.
around junior year. Um, so I want to say I ran like a 156 split, which was like again just like I cut back on intensity, felt really good, and just had like the race of my life for that. So and then of course like with NBN you get a video, so I had like a video and I was like sending it out to college coaches and whatnot. But yeah, I think I'd probably say that was my breakout race. That was a race where I was like, okay, like I could send it to coaches, and like I could probably run for in college. That was definitely like a turning point for me, I think.
There you go. That's a great feeling when you realize like I can take this to the next level and I have a legit shot to do this at the next level. One thing that really helped me during my high school career was training for 1 week every summer at the running school. Did that have a similar influence on you?
Yeah, I unfortunately never made it to the running school. I actually went to the running schools, I believe rival.
Yes.
Uh,
Foundation.
I went to Foundation
Oh man.
begrudgingly. I did not, like I said earlier, I was not a huge cross guy. Uh, I I want to say it might have been the summer going into my junior year. I think it was. my mom, as like a punishment, I just like refused to leave my house. I think I was addicted to like Call of Duty or something.
There you go.
And I just like refused to leave the house because I was just playing COD with my boys all day. And she'd had enough of me, rightfully so. I understand her. Love my mom to death. But she signs me up for foundation running camp and like puts in these times that I had not run. So I wind up in like bunk 3. I at the time was just really bad at running. And I wind up running into still a current like pretty good friend of mine, Coach Steiner out of Manhasset High School.
Yep.
And he was my bunk counselor for bunk 3, and I would get dropped every run. Just like a sack, like a bad habit. I would just be at the back. I hadn't run at all going into camp and was just getting crushed. But he made fun of me, and I'm good at dishing jokes and whatnot. So that it was fine. And we made a relationship there, and then obviously went from there. But yeah, the running school, I mean, I'm pretty sure that's where we met, was the running school.
Definitely running school.
So, yes. I mean, Swan Lake, New York is just like kind of a little slice of heaven in the summer. At least for me, it was I would usually be coming in from New Hampshire, like training pretty hard up there, coming in as a counselor for either like bunk 1 or bunk 2. And just having like that group of guys that age where they're juniors about to be seniors in high school. They want to run really fast. They want to like win, whether it be like county medals sectional, or state sectional, stuff like that. I mean, and then obviously you have like the Catholic high school guys in there as well, looking to win their sectionals and their city titles and go on to the federation meet. That's always like the best thing in the world, I feel like. And they're all sponges too. They just want to hear, they want to hear what you have to say. They want to learn what you've done, what's worked for you, what hasn't worked for you. They want to learn about diet. They want to learn about sleep. They want to learn about the college recruiting process. They want to learn about everything. And I enjoy sharing that. So, I mean, the running school is the best. I wish I was able to take a week off of work and go back there, but it's not the reality these days. And I'm sure there's plenty of college kids that could do a better job than me these days at giving that information.
I don't know about that, but you're right. It is tough when you get old and you have to actually take work seriously, and you have a real job. So things change, but you said it perfectly. It's a little slice of heaven, and I want to go back as soon as I can. But you also mentioned the college recruiting process. What was that like for you, and how did you end up at UNH?
Yeah, so I kind of alluded to the fact that I could not run fast during the regular season in high school. I was just not great. I didn't have a ton of base. And I largely, that kind of led to not having good seed times for championship meets or really meets in general. I just never had great seed times. So I'd always get slotted on our relays, and I'd run like out of my mind on relays for whatever reason. I couldn't run well open, but I'd get a stick in my hand, and I don't know whether it was like I have like other people depending on me or what, but I always kind of ran like a lot better on relays. So I had all these relay times that obviously coaches can't see. Like no one sees that. So I think I got one letter from one coach. I think it was SUNY Cortland. I think the Dragons, I think they are.
Red Dragons.
The Red Dragons of SUNY Cortland sent me a letter, and I walked into like my homeroom one day, and my homeroom teacher was like, "Hey Bill, like you got a letter from Cortland, like congratulations." I opened it, and they're like, "Oh, like you should come visit." I was like, "Oh, maybe I'll go visit." But a lot of that process was me recruiting myself. I kind of had to take like FAT splits or find videos of relays that I had run and compile that and email those coaches like kind of directly and see if they would email me back. So that kind of turned into I took officials at St. Joseph's University, Monmouth University, and University of New Hampshire. I'm pretty sure it was in that order. Maybe St. Joe's and Monmouth flipped, but those are the 3 schools I took officials to. And I always thought it was funny. So I didn't I got my driver's license really, really, really late. So I didn't have a car. I didn't drive. My dad went down there, like went to each school and like dropped me off. And then I kind of just like figured out my way home via public transportation, which was
Oh
always
man.
like a something else. But I mean, it worked out. And it was kind of funny because it was like, well, I probably won't have a car like my freshman year of college anyway. So like, how am I going to get it home type deal, you know?
Right.
So, I mean, that was also kind of cool in the process, but something most people don't have to go through. But yeah, I mean, I enjoyed St. Joe's. I enjoyed Monmouth. They both had great like the coaches were awesome. The team was cool, but and the campuses were great. I think I remember because UNH was my last visit, and I had been up there a time prior just to kind of see the campus before my official, and like get the full tour and whatnot. And I remember I went to this like place downtown in downtown Durham, New Hampshire, where UNH is. And I went to this breakfast place, and me and my dad were sitting down ordering breakfast, and the whole cross country team walks in, like the entire team walks in, and after their like Sunday practice or whatnot, and they're ordering food and joking around. And I mean, you know the deal
Right.
when you're with your team. And I saw that, I was like, oh, that would be pretty sweet to be a part of. And then I obviously went up on my official, and they were a blast to be around. And kind of how I got into the sport, again, kind of how I picked my college. I just loved the team. I immediately made those connections and just felt really, really welcomed. So I think the biggest takeaway is, I mean, obviously you want to go somewhere where academically it makes sense for your career beyond athletics as well. But you're going to want to be somewhere where, I mean, if track, I mean, like, where you're going to like enjoy being on a team and just like not being like a toxic place, you know?
Right.
And I felt super safe and super sound at UNH. And I knew if like running didn't work out, I was also, I mean, like the business school was good enough there, and I'd be able to make connections otherwise. So that's how I kind of wound up at UNH. I remember I was on, like I said, I had to find my way home. There's an Amtrak that goes through campus that goes down to Boston. That's how I got home. And it kind of runs right through the middle of campus, and campus is divided by it, where like you have all the athletic facilities on one side of the Amtrak train, like rail line, and then like the rest of like academic campus on the other side. And I was looking at the window at like the track and the athletic facilities, and I was like, yeah, like this is where I'm going to be. And I'm pretty sure I signed, like got home, like emailed Coach B, who just retired this year, actually.
Shout out to her.
Yeah. And I like committed like right after that. So yeah, that was my college recruiting process.
There you go. All right. So obviously it's a big adjustment going from high school to college, especially in the training, not only the training, just the campus life. How did you adjust to that different experience?
Yeah, that adjustment's one of the hardest things. And it's one of the things that kind of go back to the running school. I would tell high schoolers all the time, I'd be like, hey, like don't expect anything your freshman year. Go in there. If you can match your high school PRs, that's a huge win, because it's such a massive adjustment. It's a life adjustment. I mean, like you're living somewhere completely different. You're eating different food. It's completely different. So, I mean, like I got up there, and I was fortunate enough to be around a bunch of guys who were all kind of looking, sorry, I don't know if
No, you're good.
got that. Could you hear those sprinklers?
No, you're good, but
Okay,
you're good to go.
closing
Yeah.
the window. But
No worries.
yeah, I mean, I was fortunate enough to be around a bunch of guys who were super knowledgeable, and we had an awesome like older crew, and a great captain in Brennan McCarthy. That cross country season, I'm pretty sure I ran a lot of miles going into my freshman year cross country, and again, just not good at cross country, but so that didn't go all that well. But I had great mentors in Drew Piazza as well, my freshman year, who I really, really looked up to. I mean, he wound up running, I think, 147 in his
Oh,
time
wow.
at UNH when I was there. So he was a junior and I was a freshman, and he was able to drag me. I think I was on the follow Drew regiment my entire freshman year, which was just like, again, it honestly a lot like high school, where it was not a lot of mileage and it was a lot of intensity. I remember some workouts from my freshman year that I don't know if I would ever be able to recreate, just because I was just hanging on to that kid for dear life. But I mean, I was able to lower my, I was able to PR pretty much every event, which is like pretty hard to do.
It's unheard of. Yeah.
Coming out of high school, like immediately, and was like immediately able to make an impact at the America East Conference level and contribute on relays at like the New England and IC4A level. If you're familiar with those
Yeah, definitely.
conferences as well.
Hmm.
Um, so I mean, I super lucked out with the transition. I also think freshman year was like the most I ever weighed in my life. I think I got up to a nice and pudgy like 165.
Not that much, but
Yeah,
yeah.
I know. I think I was like 6'2", 165. And I
Slim.
just wasn't running all that much. I was eating a lot. The dining hall, unlimited food. Like you're on that unlimited like dining hall plan. I
Yeah.
discovered Ben and Jerry's in college.
Ooh, classic.
Yeah, that was good and dangerous at the same time.
Yeah.
So I mean, like again, just like super lucked out with just being around a bunch of really good guys and just like making sure that I got my academics done like correctly, and then was able to just like once I got academics out of the way, I was able to like fully focus on running and running as fast as I could, as well as I could. That indoors was pretty magical.
Mhm.
I this is funny. Do you know Michael Leary?
Yes. Yes, I do.
Michael Leary and I would go back and forth all the time in high school. He ran for St. Anthony's, I ran for Chaminade, so we
Our
were
tribal.
born to hate each other. But he's a great guy, and we always found each other on relay legs or in 800s, and we had really close PRs in high school. And my like during our city championships, uh, again, I couldn't run fast in the regular season, so I had a bad seat time going to cities, and I was in the second heat, and
Mhm.
I ran. I think I ran the heat after them. I think the first heat ran first, and they ran. Michael Leary won the heat to go to states or feds or whatever you want to call it
Right.
in 155.20. And I went after him, and I had one of my buddies, I think Jack Rogers, like basically be a glorified pacer. He went out, took the pace out, and kind of like swung wide at 400, and I just like went by him on the inside. And I crossed the line, and I looked at the clock, and and I saw 155.22. So I lost by 0.02
Oh
seconds
man.
out of the slow heat to go to states. And that was my last high school race. And Mike and I had been going back and forth all indoors and at Melrose trials and whatnot, and at cities indoors, like on relay legs, on open eights. And so fittingly enough, so I go to UNH and he goes to Providence. So we'll see each other all the time at in New England type meets, because I mean there's only so many meets and everyone travels to them.
Right.
And my freshman year at I just remember he ran a really fast 800. He ran like 152.7 something, and I in prelims of IC4A meet my freshman year, I ran 152.7 something. That was like literally 0.01 or 0.02 faster
Oh
than his
wow.
was,
That's
which was
crazy.
like funny, because I was like, oh, like I wonder like this was. And then I came back the next day and ran like another like half second faster, which was like crazy. I was
That's
like,
wild. Yeah.
my freshman year PR was 152 low, like 152.2 or something like that,
Something low. Yeah.
indoors. And then I ran horrible outdoors because of like New England weather in the spring is bad. And I was just super burnt out from just like training so hard over the summer, training all the way through cross, and then running really hard indoors. I was just like super toasted. And yeah, but I mean, all positives in that transition phase. Yeah,
Yeah.
I had a great freshman year. Had a blast.
Yeah. It sounds like you adjust it well. It goes back to finding the right people and meshing well with good training partners. Uh Moving on to your sophomore year and your upperclassmen years, was there a big race, like a highlight race of those years that you remember?
Yeah, I mean, so I started running a lot more my sophomore year,
Mhm.
and kept that like that volume up through indoors and through outdoors, and was able to kind of string together some like good blocks of training, and kind of made my switch from a half miler to a miler where I kind of currently stand.
Mhm.
I'm trying to think of like a highlight race per se. Definitely nothing too crazy my sophomore year. My junior year though, indoors at BU, as BU is a trampoline. If you've ever run
Yes.
on it,
I've never run there, but I know from people who have that it's a fast track and a
it's
lot of people run fast there.
it's the fastest track going. I obviously ran all of high school at the Armory. I've run at Reggie Lewis. I've run at what's the new one in
Ocean
Staten
Breeze.
Island? Ocean Breeze. I've
Mhm.
run on like all those circuits. They don't even come close to BU.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, it's not even like in the conversation. I think Harvard is super similar. I've
Okay.
never run, but I've kind of like walked around on the Harvard track. I think they're like made by the same person and made the same technique.
Makes sense.
So I'm pretty sure that track's super similar. But dude, the thing just bounces. So you and those heats are just set up to just go. They like you just get in line. Doesn't matter who you beat, who beats you. Doesn't matter at all. Just like go out, run a time trial.
Right.
So it's like get super fit, get out there. And I remember my junior year, I got pretty fit and lined up for a mile. And I can't remember what my PR was going into it, but I came out with a 407, which was like pretty big for me. It
Yeah.
was a solid chunk off my old PR and really opened up some doors for me and kind of planted that seed in the head of like, oh, like 7 seconds away. Like, yeah,
Right. Getting spicy.
maybe.
Yeah.
And fittingly enough, I'm pretty sure Michael Leary was in that race as well.
I'm sure.
I can't remember. I think I came out on, no, I think he came out on top on that one. But we always went back and forth throughout college. And even after I run into him and we're still like right next to each other. It's
Neck
too
and neck.
funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I'd probably say, yeah, that BU race at that mile is definitely my breakout. And then just like continued it my senior year, had a crazy good senior indoors, running 404.5, I think, in the mile.
Not too bad. Not too bad.
And then going 3 for 3 at my conference meet in the DMR, anchoring that for a win, anchoring the 4x8 for a win, and then winning the open mile. So that was like the highlight. And then had a good IC4A meet as well. I think I ran runner up in the mile to, I forget who I lost to. I feel like it's Nick Dahl, who's also running crazy good right now from Yale.
Okay.
He's since graduated and is running really strong. He whooped me up in Connecticut in a 1500 the other week. He ran like 340. It's like,
There you go.
Yeah. He's crushing. But yeah, yeah, I had a lot of fun in college. I think track contributed to a lot of that fun.
For sure.
So yeah, I definitely don't regret ever running in college.
Yeah, I just want to go back really quickly. You said you went 3 for 3 at your conference meet your senior year. Talk about that feeling, doing it 3 times in a row, and I'm sure you mean winning the race for your team.
Oh yeah. Yeah, won the race for the team. Yeah. That was an unreal feeling because I was pretty good at choking at conference meets. I would get like way too excited and nervous and just like caught up in America East. And it really took me kind of taking a step back and realizing like, hey, like this is America East Conference. Like it's not an Olympic final. Right. Let's chill out for a second here, Billy. And just kind of went in with a level head and was like, hey, I mean, I'd been going in with the confidence of like, all right, I ran a 404 mile. I'm like, so I wasn't heads and shoulders above. There were a couple of guys that could definitely challenge on the right day to take me down. And obviously in relay situations, anything can happen. A baton could drop, someone gets tripped up, someone just has a bad day, and you get the baton super far behind. But no, I mean, like my DMR got me the baton in an awesome spot. That was the first race. So that was on like a Friday night. Got the baton and just like ran really even splits. I think I even split like a 406, 1600. So like a 408 mile, cruise control, just like really chilling, just got the win. Let's get back to the hotel, let's shower and let's get ready for tomorrow type of like business trip mentality.
There you go.
yeah, got into the mile the next day, and I just I really remember. It's funny because like a lot of times you don't remember races. You just at least I won't remember kind of what happened. I was like sort of like black or like brown out or
Blackout.
whatever. I have like
Yeah.
no idea what happened. But I was pretty checked in for this race for whatever reason. We weren't running that fast early on. And I got out, got myself into like a solid position, and I kind of looked at like the lap counter and was like, oh, like we're only 2 laps into this thing. Like, what do I do now? I was like, all right, I guess I just sit here, and we proceeded to run like pretty slow until I mean, it just became I guess a 250-meter race, honestly. And I knew I had the most. I knew I had the best mile in the field. I knew I had the best 1200 in the field. I knew I had the best 800 in the field, and I knew I had the best 200 in the field. Like I was like, however we want to slice and dice this race, like let's do it. Let's line up. I think I could win this. And yeah, just like got the jump on the field at 250, just like ran away with it. I think I split like 27 for my last two, which was like, I think definitely the fastest last two I've ever running a mile. But
That's quick. Yeah.
I think wound up winning in like 409 or something like that. So
There you go.
overall time wasn't crazy, but yeah, it was still fun. Still got the win, and then laced up the spice one last time for the anchor on the 4x8, and that was one of the harder. I was terrified. So in our conference, there's this kid, Sean Monley, who was also my age. He's a really good 800 guy. D1 East regional qualifier multiple times, would win the America East Conference in the 8 all the time, would medal at ICs in the 8 all the time. Like really, really awesome runner. I think he was like a 148, 149 guy.
There you go.
So it was faster than me. I think I was the fastest I've ever run an 8. Like on a split, you'd maybe get me at 150, like point high. Like my open's 151 low. And so I got the baton, and he was behind me. He wasn't incredibly close, but I knew if I like wasn't running hard, he was gonna like crush me.
Right.
And in between us was, I think, Shamir Powell from Binghamton, who is a Long Island kid as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I remember watching Shamir. He's a couple years younger than us, but he was a pretty good 8 guy in high school, and my dad was always a big fan of him. So I knew getting to stick with him, like pretty much right, like pretty close to my back. I went out hard. He went out really hard to catch me. And I remember after like 250, 300 meters just hurt. I was like, oh man, like I am tired. And I was like, this is going to be a really long 800. And I got to 400, and Shamir got on my shoulder, and I could see him like in my peripherals, and I could hear him. I was like, oh shoot, like am I running slow? Because I had like a decent lead, and I thought I went out hard, and he got on my shoulder. I was like, oh no, like where's Sean? I was like, Sean's coming. I was like so scared. So I just ran completely out of fear for the last 400, and just like, I guess it was enough. I just like, again, just put in a big kick with like 250 to go, and it just held off. Like I dropped Shamir, and Sean actually caught him, but they were nowhere close. I think I had a full straightaway. I remember there's like a awesome picture. I like did a head check, which you again should never do.
Never do. Right.
But I did a head check with like 10 meters, and saw like absolutely no one. There was no one there, and I just like threw my arms up and like did like a sweet like fist bump, and then like went and like hugged it out with the boys afterwards. So yeah, that was really, really, really fun. I will remember that forever.
Yeah, that must have been an awesome feeling, especially like one of your last races, getting to go out on a super high note. So I'm glad you got to have that experience. Moving on to your post-collegiate career, where are you at today? How are the legs feeling, and how's training going?
Well, as Chris Chavez would say, legs are feeling good.
Nice.
Yeah, no, post-college career has been awesome. Again, kind of as I would say to high schoolers going into college, don't expect anything that first year. I would say the same thing to college graduates looking to continue to train afterwards. It's gonna be completely like even worlds of a difference. I mean, you have a full-time job, most likely. You're not with your friends and teammates anymore. There's no scheduled practices. There's no one's giving you workouts unless you're like a part of a club or you're paying a coach or something. So most of it's on you. and like there's no dining hall. You're making food for yourself, unless. But yeah, it's completely different, and I had a kind of tough adjustment to it. I was injured coming out of my senior spring,
Okay.
so I didn't really run much that summer. I was like, oh, you know what, like I'm gonna get back into it, and wound up running. I think that my first race back was like whatever was first, the Long Island Mile or the Fifth Ave Mile.
Long Island Mile is usually first.
I think, yeah. So I think Long Island, I'm pretty sure I ran faster, which is I don't think how it's supposed to go, but I ran like
Right.
4:12 at Long Island, and then at Fifth Ave, I think I ran like 4:15, even though it's like downhill. But I again had such a blast. I was like, hey, maybe this like post collegiate running thing ain't so bad after all. I can kind of race how I want. I could run workouts how I want. I mean, it kind of sucks training alone a little bit, but that is what it is. And yeah, I was able to join Brooklyn Track Club and get into some indoor meets, and was able to completely rewrite my PRs from 5K to 3K, even though I never ran 3K in college. So I
It
just
counts as a PR.
this is a PR.
Yeah.
And then was able to lower my mile PR by like 0.3 seconds. So yeah, I like rewrote my PRs my first year out of college. So I was like pretty stoked with that. And then COVID hit and did nothing for quite some time. But yeah, I mean, like most recently was able to fly out to Portland and run a pretty solid 1500 out there at the Portland Track Festival. I think I ran 3:45.3, which like probably around like a 403 mile equivalent. Felt really good doing it. I had recently moved to Colorado back in November. I was just kind of working remote out of Manhattan, and was like, all right, like I'm just gonna drive to Colorado, get a lease, and just like live it. Just
Bet
like
on yourself. There you go. Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, the altitude training certainly helps. I'm stronger than I've ever been. I think I'm faster than I've ever been due to what I would say cheating spike tech. I don't know if you've played around with those new Victories or Dragonflies, but oh my goodness,
I have not yet, but I'm excited to now that you've said that.
they truly are something special on the feet. I've never been faster. I think I contribute a decent amount of it to like my actual training and just me growing older and getting stronger. But man, those things are a world of a difference, and they're definitely worth a couple seconds.
There you go.
Yeah.
So you mentioned running 3:45 in the 15, 4:03 equivalent. Obviously, it's a huge barrier, the sub 4-minute mile barrier. It's storied, it's historic, it's prestigious. Is that something you think about every day? Where's your head at in terms of that barrier?
Yeah, I go through phases on that where I'm like, okay, like it doesn't really matter. And then there's days where it gets me out the door. I'm like, all right, like I really want to do this. And so I go back and forth on it, because if you harp on it and obsess about it, it just becomes like a punishment, you know, like, oh, like I don't want to do this, but like, oh, like I gotta do it for this. And it becomes kind of toxic. A lot of times I run because I enjoy running, and I'm
Right.
good at it, and I like being around people who run. So that's a lot of times what gets me out the door. But there's sometimes where I'm like, all right, like probably should, because I really want to like achieve this pretty hard goal that requires a lot of like dedication and work. That's been my mindset going into it. I don't know if it's the greatest or if it's the worst. I'm pretty sure there's worse mindsets. There's probably better mindsets, but
Yeah, somewhere in the middle.
yeah, it's somewhere on the spectrum, I think.
No, I think it's the right mindset. You're not thinking about it every day, but you're not completely ignoring it either. You know that it's a realistic goal, and I'm really excited for you, man. I'm excited for you to knock that down, and I'm happy to say you're on my podcast before you were famous. So just remember the little guys once you break 4.
Oh, we got you. I'm gonna shout you out when I cross that line.
Yeah, there you go. So when's the next meet? What's next for Billy?
Yeah, I'm gonna run sub 4 in the mile on July 9th at Trials of Miles in New York City.
Where's that located?
Icon.
All right. Maybe I'll come through. Make a
by.
sub 4 Billy sign.
It'll be a party. It will be a party for sure.
We'll get the whole running school fam out there cheering.
Totally.
Totally. A section for you. So Billy, thank you very much for doing this. Before I let you go, I got to ask you a question I ask all my guests. It is, if you could have dinner with any celebrity or athlete, living or dead, who would it be and why?
That's such a tough question. My answer to that question, if it's not a celebrity or athlete, is always my great uncle Bill, who I'm named after. And I've just heard wild stories about the man. World War II vet, did tours over in the Pacific, just did crazy stuff, and would like never really talk about it. So I don't know if he would talk about it at dinner with me, but I'd love to find out. I'd love to like know who my namesake is, you know. But I guess in terms of like celebrities and athletes, I thought about a couple different answers, but I think one that stood out to me that I feel like maybe is a cop out, maybe isn't. There's worse cop outs out there, but I would love to just sit down and eat dinner with Mac Miller. I'm a huge Mac Miller fan, and I would just, I don't know, I would just love to just like pick his mind about what he was like thinking about and going through, just like kind of this whole story. I think that would be like really cool, and it just seems like a really awesome guy to be around. So.
It's funny you say that. Definitely gone too soon, but I have a Mac Miller poster with all his albums right here. I don't know if you can
Do
see.
you?
I'll zoom in.
What's your favorite album? It says.
I like Kids a lot and Best Day Ever, but
Yeah.
Oh no, my disconnected, but my video disconnected. But I wanted to show you the poster, but it's all good. Let me just turn my video back on real quick. But yeah, the poster is like right up here. So Mac Miller, shout out to him. Yeah.
Shout out Mac.
So those are two great answers, and thank you very much for doing this, Billy. We'll have you on again soon when you go sub 4.
For sure. Thank you, Amon.
All right.